I'm Avery Davidson. Thank you for joining us for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, the only TV show bringing Louisiana farmers and consumers together every week. My partner, Kristen Oaks-White, will join us a little later in the show. As you can tell, we are not in the studio. In fact, this is my backyard, and it's where I'll be shooting TWILA for the foreseeable future. Every member of the TWILA team is able to work from home. Carl, Neil, Kristen, Jennifer, and Monica are each doing what it takes to bring you TWILA without having to get together. So you may notice that a few interviews are conducted via Skype or FaceTime. And the interviews we've shot since the COVID-19 outbreak, we've shot with the CDC guidelines in mind. And then some of the other stories, we shot those before the coronavirus was a global pandemic. So we are working to stay safe. We want you to stay safe and also know that Louisiana's farmers and ranchers are going to work for you every day throughout this crisis. Now, news of the coronavirus caused a lot of panic in some places in the U.S. Panic buying of toilet paper, bread, milk, and other staples emptied shelves across the U.S. However, those empty shelves represent stores being bought out all at once, not of a shortfall in production. Louisiana Commissioner of Agriculture and Forestry, Dr. Mike Strain, says the food supply chain is secure even as farmers are already hard at work growing this fall's harvest.
We are working very hard, and we're going to make sure that you have what you need, whether it's fertilizer, seed, chemicals, and above all, to keep the supply chain intact. We're encouraging everyone, do the very best you can to get that crop in the field, because we're going to desperately need the crops that you produce, the food, the fiber, and the energy sources, everything that you are producing, because that is what it's going to take to continue to feed Louisiana, to feed the people of America and across the world. You know, as we've seen the stock market crash, it's coming back up. We've seen an oil crash, it's starting to come back up. The commodities have stayed fairly stable. They're a little lower than we would like, but we do expect that they're going to move in a positive direction. We have to be in a position where we can fill the needs of the people of America and across the world, especially, once we get, with out of the supplies that we have now in the supply chain, they're going to have to be replenished. You've already heard about the issues at the grocery stores, where people are looking for milk, they're looking for rice, they're looking for different staples. Well, this is going to continue because there is supply chain disruption across the world, and I think we're in a unique position to backfill that storage across the world, and also to increase our market share of feeding the world. So again, thank you for everything you're doing. Please stay safe. Do everything that you need to do to protect yourself, your families, your employees. But most of all, we know what you're doing and we truly appreciate it.
Of course, we'll keep you updated with things as they move forward. Already many grocery stores and food distributors have been restocking shelves here in Louisiana and across the U.S. It's springtime in Louisiana, which means that it's crawfish season. However, with the governor's stay-at-home order and an order for people not to get together in groups of more than 10, well, those large family crawfish boils are pretty much non-existent. Meanwhile, crawfish farmers and fishermen across the state are bringing in a record harvest of crawfish. This week, TWILA's Carl Wiggers went out to get some crawfish to go and find out how farmers are handling the huge crop and the changing market.
There's plenty crawfish. We need to get people eating them little things.
David Savoy speaks for all crawfish farmers right now. The crop this year is huge. Chris Blades at Four Oaks Farm said when they started catching crawfish, they could barely keep up with the demand.
We usually don't start till mid-March or a little early March. So we didn't really see a big difference in the very beginning. We were selling out every weekend to grocery stores and then some of our wholesalers that come pick up from Texas and Mississippi. We were actually not having enough crawfish catch to get to the public. And so now we've dropped off a few of those bigger people that are buying, and some of the the public, they're not calling as much. So we actually, this morning, we pulled back a little bit and didn't go out and catch stacks. We're actually in the water right now, and we've been catching, on average 70 sacks a day, but we've been able to move them. Right now, I'd say that we're probably going to stick to maybe 50 sacks a day.
Some of that lost demand can be traced to the parties that are not happening right now. Bill Pizzolatto at Tony's Seafood says that it is really hurting the larger sales in his Baton Rouge market, but crawfish are still selling.
So far, we're taking it day by day and trying to make it work. Our trucks are still running. We're still buying from all our same suppliers and we might miss a day every once in a while, but we're trying to keep it going.
He says that's easier around the weekend when people are looking for some normalcy in their lives.
People have been cooped up all week, so they want to get out the house, and we're trying to, practice the social distancing and wipe down everything quite a few times a day, and we're trying to keep the crawfish sales going.
Tony's in Baton Rouge is not the only place you can get this beloved treat. There are plenty of both crawfish farmers and fishermen around the basin, and restaurants and retail outlets for you to shop. Farmers like Blades and Savoy are ready to move mountains to get their crawfish safely into your hands.
But if somebody in Church Point wanted me to deliver, I would deliver. We will go to the ends of the earth right now to get this product out there.
Wherever you're at, whether it's Louisiana, Texas, just support all your local restaurants on the takeout business or all the seafood markets, because that all helps in turn the farmers that help us, that gives us the livelihood that we have today.
Reporting from Baton Rouge, I'm Carl Wiggers for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture.
Local farmers, restaurants, and fishermen need for you to eat as much crawfish as you can right now, even if it's just a few pounds. If you'd like to connect with a farmer or a fisherman, you can visit our website at TwilaTV.org. With all that's going on, crawfish prices are down this week. Usually this is the peak of the season, and crawfish, well, they're certainly big right now. However, the lower prices aren't good for those farmers and fishermen, as sales are down right now. Nevertheless, if you buy directly from a farmer or a fisherman, or from those who buy in volume from producers, you can really help them out. One of those retailers is Tony's Seafood in Baton Rouge, who has kept up its buying in order to support crawfish farmers. Live crawfish there are going for $2.99 per pound. Go up to the counter for boiled crawfish, going for $4.19 a pound. In my hometown of New Iberia, Freeman's Magic Dust Crawfish Express, which is over on Admiral Doyle Drive, has them live for $2.60 a pound, while boiled are going for $4.25 a pound. One of the best deals in the state right now is mud bugs in Leesville, $1.67 a pound live and only 33 cents more for boiled at $2 a pound. The Louisiana Crawfish Promotion and Research Board wants to remind you of two things. First, maintain your social distance whenever you buy crawfish and wash your hands. In fact, you know how you have to be very careful about not touching your face whenever you're eating boiled crawfish? Well, they want you to kind of do that all the time. And also, before you eat, ask before you eat. Make sure it is Louisiana crawfish. Crawfish farmers and fishermen aren't the only folks who need your support. Many of the growers who sell at farmers markets are still harvesting. To help with social distancing, Bretta's Red Stick Farmers Market moved to drive-through service. As TWILA's Jennifer Finley shows us, Bretta continues its mission to support Louisiana's small farmers and connect the community to fresh, local, and healthy food, even in these uncertain times.
When you come to the market on Thursday, it'll look similar in that you'll see tents, but instead of walking through it, you'll be driving through it. There'll be 14 farmers here with all kinds of good things. Strawberries, grab and go mustard greens and carrots and things like that you would want to get. We'll have baked goods, we'll have meats, we'll have seafood. So it's going to be our usual folks that come to the Thursday market plus maybe one or two more. So important to support those local farmers because right now they need your help. They're harvesting and we want them to be able to sell what they're harvesting. If you have questions, you can still ask them what you need to know about how they're growing or any of those kind of things, and you can feel comfortable that the farmer that you're with will have touched that food and only that farmer. And so it's not so many different people in the food chain that have touched your food. So we feel like your food is not just seasonal and healthy and nutrition, but it's really safe during this crazy time we're all experiencing. We're in the late spring and things are really beginning to pop. Our busiest season is usually from late March through July, and so you can see that we have got to get people out to the markets to buy local produce. We'll also have prepared food. Then we'll have our nursery people who will be set up where you can tell them what you want, whether it's a tomato plant or whatever, and they can pass it over to you. These guys, they're small and sometimes get overlooked when all of our bigger corporations, our bigger food venues are getting all the support from different ways, but the little guy that is small who really works for his local community sometimes gets overlooked in some of that. So we want everybody to support them, and so far from what they're saying is, that people are being very helpful about calling them and wanting to see where their produce is available.
Bretter will continue to adapt its markets to meet the needs of farmers and consumers. For information about the Red Stick Farmers Market or to find another farmers market in your area, visit our website at TwilaTV.org. Still to come on Twila, you're probably ready to have something that's not from the pantry or the fridge. Find out where you can get some farm fresh meat right after this. Stay with us. Right now, more than ever, it helps to know a farmer. When store shelves seem depleted and meat cases empty, it's helpful to have Louisiana Farm Bureau members who sell directly to consumers. We focus on Woldridge Meat out of Oil City for our first installment of a new series, Farm Bureau to Table. As the first light hits his pasture, Caddo Parish rancher Marty Woldridge is already loading up his cattle. Woldridge is the fourth generation to raise cattle on this land in Oil City, but he's the first to try something new.
For years and years, we've raised beef cattle, cow-calf production. And for a long time, we had, of course, provided our own freezer beef, fattening a steer, processing it, putting it in for our family and our close friends. But years ago, it started evolving, and more people were interested in that. We were doing custom beef. But I always like to talk about, most people don't have grandma's freezer anymore. They don't have the big 20 cubic foot chest in the garage. And they don't want to spend that much money that it takes to buy a whole beef or a half a beef a lot of times. So we needed to get to the point of selling 1 pound of hamburger meat if that's all they wanted today.
On this day, Woldridge's cattle are coming here to Bellevue Meat Processing.
The farmers are our business here at Bellevue Meat Processing Plant.
Chris Nesbitt is the owner. He's been processing beef and pork here for 27 years, so he's seen a lot of meat. And Nesbitt says Woldridge meat is some of the best he's seen.
Marty does a fine job on raising his cattle. I'm not a farmer, but we do process a lot, and some of the best beef that comes through this plant comes from Marty Woldridge.
We consider them grass-fed and grain-finished.
Cafe 180 To Go in Vivian, Louisiana was the first restaurant to begin selling Woldridge meat. Before making the switch, the hamburgers here were made with beef from a large wholesale club that was not as consistent in quality as the Woldridge meat.
We had such rave reviews from our customers. They immediately knew that we had changed to a better beef. And so they were now they're hooked.
From the roadside gym that is Cafe 180 To Go to the kitchen of the Shreveport Petroleum Club, you'll again find Woldridge meat. Here, it's tenderized cutlets getting a bath in egg wash, dredged through seasoned flour, and then deep fried until golden and delicious. Executive Chef Wesley Douglas says he immediately saw the benefit of buying his beef locally.
You could tell that it wasn't just a generic something that just kept coming to you. It had a distinct taste to it. It was nice, it was natural. It was much more tender than anything that I had bought that was IQF, frozen, stuck in a warehouse, and then brought to me, after X amount of time that it's been sitting there. You could tell there was a difference to the meat that was refreshing to have, that made it so much more enjoyable.
As for Woldridge, he's enjoying this demand and success, but knows that he would not be able to focus so closely on his customers without having the Louisiana Farm Bureau focusing on the issues important to him.
No matter how busy I am on the farm, Louisiana Farm Bureau is watching out for my interest. While I'm working, driving a tractor, baling hay, taking care of these cattle, Louisiana Farm Bureau's got my back in Baton Rouge and Washington, D.C.
If you'd like to learn more about Woldridge meat or Marty Woldridge, visit our website at TwilaTV.org. There are other ranchers who are selling meat directly to consumers. In fact, one rancher in East Feliciana Parish has seen a significant increase in demand for beef since the COVID-19 pandemic began. Twila's Jennifer Finley sat down with Amelia Kent to discuss what's been different lately.
We were talking about food prep just a few minutes ago, A lot of the farmers and ranchers I know are pretty fortunate to have a lot of meat on hand anyways.
Right. Are you doing direct sales with that, or any of that happening for you right now?
I have received a lot of interest on direct sales. Quite frankly, on custom beef, fill your freezer with a half or whole beef. On custom calls, I've received more calls in the past week than I have in a year.
Wow.
And I do think that that's a direct correlation with meat cases being empty. Now, with that said, I have full faith in the health and safety of meat at the retail level. I have no concern of any health issues.
Thanks, Jennifer. While many are enjoying some beautiful spring weather right now with a walk around the neighborhood or just hanging out in the backyard like I am, Louisiana's rice farmers are hitting the field to plant much of the state's rice crop. As TWILA's Craig Gautreaux shows us, the crop in Acadia Parish is off to a fast start.
This year's rice crop in southwest Louisiana is up and growing. Favorable weather in March allowed the crop to get planted in ideal conditions.
They actually have rice that's already about 3 inches tall and 2 leaves, so really fast crop in the ground in southwest Louisiana, and it's moving along much differently from last year, growing a lot faster.
Harold expects to see about a 5% increase in rice acreage this year in Louisiana.
It just penciled out better than some of our other row crops out there. The acres in southwest Louisiana will probably remain somewhat similar. The increase in acres we're going to see is in our northeast Louisiana planting area.
Another component fueling the growth in northeast Louisiana is the increasing practice of growing furrow-irrigated rice. It is now a recognized practice by the U.S. Department of Agriculture.
The USDA Risk Management Agency has come up with an insurance. It will be an insurable practice for 2020, as well as alternate wetting and drying and other alternate water management practices. So both of these practices can be insured.
Because of the COVID-19 outbreak, some off-station research may be affected. Harold says there are still ways in which farmers can get the vital information they need.
Means of communication are here that we can use. We can use text messages, pictures, send over text messages. I can answer questions, and we can do a lot of diagnosis virtually now.
Because many young people are out of school, Harold says this is a good opportunity for them to be involved with rice planting. With the LSU Ag Center, this is Craig Gautreaux reporting.
Louisiana farmers expect to plant about 435,000 acres of rice this year. Now, rice is one of the many crops farmers are planting. In fact, corn is going into the ground, and soon soybeans will follow. On Wednesday, TWILA's Carl Wiggers went out to West Baton Rouge Parish to show us from a safe distance farmers putting seed into the ground.
How are you feeling about getting this crop in for 2020?
Planting wise, we're in pretty good shape. We have some corn probably about 4 to 6 inches high right now, and we got in about a week and a half ago. We're going pretty good. We had to stop a little while here. We had a rain, but time wise, we in good condition. I guess it's kind of scary. You're seeing the ups and downs in the market, kind of like the stock market with the grains also. I feel positive about it because I think if China comes along, gets back on board, has their country, the coronavirus in control over there, they should start buying some of the promises they made with the Phase 1 trade deal that was made with them. So if they come on board, I think we got to have pretty good promise on prices. It is a little strange to see so many people in the country hurting. The businesses not have to lay off people, restaurants, anything, oil field businesses, and all of them not being affected. You feel for those companies. You wish you could do something for them, but as far as our end, we have to continue on. If we miss a planting season, we missed a whole year in a short period. Like many other businesses, you have to continue on.
Farmers, we want to wish you one of the best planting seasons possible. We appreciate the work you're doing to bring us the safest, most abundant food in all of the world. Still to come on TWILA, we're heading to Kristen's house for a very special TWILA boost that is so important right now. Stay with us.
Hello
everyone, I'm Kristen Oaks-White. As Avery mentioned earlier, just like everyone else on the TWILA team, I am also stuck at home. I think that we're all trying to adjust to this new sense of normalcy in the age of the COVID-19 pandemic. In what feels like a 24-hour cycle of endless bad news, I think we could all use a boost more than ever. And boy, do we have a good one for you this week. For weeks, hospitals across the country have warned that life-saving medical supplies are in dangerously short supply amid the coronavirus pandemic. And for many healthcare workers, the countdown to that moment is no longer a matter of weeks or days, but hours. Hospitals and doctors have reached out via social media to ask for mission-critical help in solving the shortage of N95 type masks. And citizens all over the country have stepped up to answer the call. Crafty do-it-yourselfers are using their time at home to come together and make masks for those in need. Across the country, groups of volunteers are sewing masks with scraps of fabric to donate to hospitals and medical professionals who desperately need them right now. In Louisiana, 4-H members from across the state were some of the first to step into action. With the help of online sewing tutorials and videos, parish 4-H chapters challenge students to use their time and skills to help fill the need.
I'm Landry Burdette, and this is my 4th year in 4-H. And me and my mom started making face masks for all the doctors and veterinarians and people in the community who are in need of them.
Emily Eason is an 8th grader at Maney Junior High School in Sabine Parish. Here you can see she's been working very hard to sew masks for medical professionals in her area. In East Baton Rouge and Ascension parishes, students created stacks of hand-sewn masks for Baton Rouge General Hospital. With fabric and elastic donations from their local community, Rain Catholic Elementary School teachers teamed up with local seamstress Maureen Benoit to construct more than 200 masks each day this week for Lafayette hospitals and nursing homes. Joanne Fabrics is currently giving away free fabric, elastic, and other essential materials so that customers can make face masks at home to donate to hospitals. The company also has a video tutorial on its website showing the proper methods to assemble the mask. I was so inspired by the work of these talented, servant-minded individuals, I even decided to try my hand at making a few masks. I studied the online tutorials and did my very best, but as you can see, my work is not quite as seamless as those crafty 4-H'ers. At a time when most of us feel like there's not much we can control right now, this project is giving people a purpose and a way to help. To everyone who's been lending a hand in their own way, thank you. Thank you for shining a bright light in a time of darkness. If you want to help by donating supplies to your local hospital or to learn how to make one of these masks yourself at home, you can visit our website at TwilaTV.org. We posted a lot of links and resources for you there. Well, that does it for this edition of TWILA. We will continue to do our best to bring you new stories from Louisiana's farmers and ranchers, but that will be increasingly more difficult in the days and weeks to come. So if you happen to see a few more reruns from our TWILA archive, that's why. You can still watch all of our shows online at TwilaTV.org, and be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram. And as always, you can watch all of these videos on our YouTube page, so be sure to subscribe to us there. From all of us here at TWILA, thank you for joining us. We hope to see you again right here next week.